Would you like a butternut? Because I got some butternuts from the garden that... No, you can't have one. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And here we're to talk about real estate. That's right, real estate where I live, Calgary, Canada. And we are an enigma in the country of Canada right now. And in the United States, for the most part, there are areas. I don't live there, so I'm not really sure. But there are areas of the United States that are booming. But the media would make you sound like all areas are down. Las Vegas is down, Phoenix is down, California, like they're just gonna go big centers, down, 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 down. Why is this? Well, the central banks have gone a little crazy. They were supposed to stop at 4.5% according to my economic year 4 of my economic degree and all the numbers I figured out. I haven't graduated yet, but that I submitted, 4.5 was as far as I should have gone. And they've gone further than that. So this has created a little bit of a problem. But we're not here to talk about central banks. They're going to do what they're going to do. What do you do when they're doing whatever they are doing? First things, I want to let you in on something about real estate. And I want you to write this down. And I want you to remember this. There is not one house currently for sale in the city I live in, or the city that you live in, that's currently overpriced if you come and look at it 25 years from now. That's right. If you go 25 years into the future and take a look at what that house is selling for today and where that house is selling for in 25 years in the future, you will not be disappointed unless you live in Detroit. Because Detroit has only gone down in value because all the businesses are leaving. You know, Detroit used to be a 2.5 million person city. I think it's 800,000 now. If you have population leaving your city and constant decline, your prices will never go up. It don't matter what anyone says, what the government does. Population is declining, prices go down, period. Go to school and they will teach you this. So, let's get into real estate. First of all, where I live, housing prices are going up. And we are in a situation I have never seen. I've been selling real estate for 27 years, coming up to 28. And I can clearly say, if there's anyone that I've sold a house to that is mad at me for something I've said, which I can guarantee you is probably almost everybody I've ever sold a house to, because like if you're going to ask my opinion, you're going to get it. We are in a situation we have never seen. We have never seen this. What we got currently going on where I live, which is craziness, absolute craziness. Oh, we had craziness in 2006 and 2007 when they made changes to the Banking Act, which was a really bad thing. Almost everything's been rolled back to normal except for one thing. But man, that really created some craziness. But where I live goes up, where the rest of the country goes down. Crazy, right? Vancouver and Toronto were soaring up with these 2% interest rates because you could get mortgages, fixed rate mortgages at 2%. Now, for our American viewers out there, we have 25-year mortgages in Canada that reset every 5 years. For the most part, okay? For the most part. There are exceptions to this, but we're not going to get into that. 99% of the people, that's what they take. In the United States, as you know, if you're from there, everything is a 30-year mortgage, and the rate is fixed for 30 years. So why is it that that exists? I don't know. I guess we could figure it out, but anyways, I don't care. This is the facts. This is what's going on today. So where I live, I'm going to give you a little idea about well, it doesn't matter what you buy today and what you buy it at 25 years from now, you're going to be extremely happy. So I decided to go through all my files of 600 and some odd people that I've sold a house to. I didn't do all of them because, I moved, I lost the boxes, you know how it goes. So, I found one. 67 Fife Road in Calgary, Alberta. And I sold it in 1999 for $142,500. Woo-wee! And guess what? They moved. Guess what they did to the house over that time frame? Nothing. Nothing. I mean, it was cleaned. There were no holes in the walls. It wasn't a junker, but it was cleaned and maintained, and the yard was beautiful, and the fence was beautiful. They maintained it, but they didn't do any upgrades. the picture I took when I sold it, when I listed it in 2023, is the same as the picture that existed in 1999 of the kitchen. Exactly the same. No, new appliances. They had to replace the appliances. I apologize. That house sold for $470,000. Oh, the market's terrible. Yeah, this is where people don't get it. $470,000, and a flipper bought it. Okay? And there was multiple offers. I mean, it was crazy. The sellers were like, are you kidding me? We're 78 years old, and we just sold our house for $470,000. And in Canada, that is tax-free. Tax-free. You buy it for $100 and sell it for $1 million, tax-free. Buy it for $100, sell it for $20 million, tax-free. It's your principal residence, it's tax-free. No tax, no tax, no tax. So they were just like, holy man, did life change for them. Because they were smart. It's just a stupid house. You don't stay there and live on cat food and do a reverse mortgage and lose all your equity. Flipper bought it, went in, I would say $150,000, maybe a little more. Sold it for $667,500 a week ago. Wow, I don't think they really made that much money. Things are expensive. I don't think they, let's hope they did a good job. You know, they didn't make much. Boy, for making that investment that they made, they didn't make much. So, welcome to real estate and where I live, where prices are going up, but prices are going down, and the media's got you convinced that don't go out and buy a house. So, what is going on? So first of all, I want to reiterate, there is no house currently for sale in where I live that's a bad deal in almost any city in North America, except for Detroit. Unless the stats change and something, you know, anyways. So what do? Prices are going down. You're seeing your neighbor, they sold, you know, a year ago it was $3 million. You know, this is Vancouver. And they just sold for $2.5 million. That's $500,000 low. No. You know what? Housing goes down and housing goes up, and, you know, the expectation that it doesn't go down, you're in dreamland, okay? But if you're a millennial and you're 30 years old and you haven't bought a house yet, maybe you should. In fact, you should. If you haven't. Make it happen. So, but let's talk about interest rates and the effect on the real estate market and how you can, if you live in the United States in one of these areas that are, wow, you know, your mortgages are 8%. So let's get into it. If you live in Canada and you wanted a $500,000 mortgage, okay? You wanted a $500,000 mortgage a few years ago. The interest rate would have been 2.5% or less. In fact, people were getting 1.99 fixed for 5 years, and they were complaining. I took 10-year mortgages when it was 1.99 because I could get a 10-year fixed rate for 2.99. And today I look like a genius because the average rate is 5.25, 5.5, somewhere around there. I got another 5 years to go, and I'm at 2.99. So, woohoo! So if you were, let's just use round numbers here, a $500,000 mortgage, okay? Not purchase price, $500,000, and you could qualify for it. In Canada, back then when it was 2.5%, you had to qualify at 5.25. You had to prove that you could pay that interest rate if it was 5.25. Well, that's where we're at right now, maybe a little bit higher. But, you know, for the most part, let's just use that, okay? Well, your payment went from $2239.83 to $2979.59. Whoo! So when your mortgage is coming up for renewal, which is probably 2026, most all these people will be 2026. Nobody will be 24 and 25. Just do the math of when they were getting that 2.5s and where it is now. That's how, you know, it's got to be 26 before there's a problem. But housing prices are going down. Vancouver, Montreal, Toronto. And then down in the States, prices are going down all over the place, especially Vegas and Phoenix and stuff. So, for our American people. So Canada, 25 years to pay for your mortgage, and it renews every 5 years. So we have a qualifying rate. United States, 30-year mortgages, you qualify at the rate you're getting. So, I went back and I said, well, you know, you could have got a 3%. 30-year fixed rate mortgage a couple years ago, like 3 years ago or so. And prices were going through the roof, so people were running out buying, but they got that 3%. So we're going to use the same number, went out and borrowed $500,000, it would have been $2,103. And you're like, okay, I can afford that. Well, now, those people are at 3% fixed. They're not selling. They're not going anywhere, okay? Unless something happens in your life where you have to. Otherwise, you are not giving up that 3% mortgage. You'd have to be crazy. I don't care what it is. You're just going to keep it, rent it, do whatever you got to do. Don't give up that 3% for 30 years. 3% for 30 years? Holy mac. But now it's 8%. And 8% is $3,623 and change. Wow. Well, guess what? You ain't buying a house. And this is why prices are going down in certain areas. There are other areas where it's going up. You can have this 8% rate and prices go up. Where I live, the 5.25%, 5.5%, prices are going up, they're going up, they're going up, and they're going to continue to go up. Our average price right now is $711,000. In 1998, it was $158,000. 158 to 711 in 25 years. That percentage change, by the way, will pretty much be the same in the next 25 years. Everyone disagrees with me, but I don't know, pick any 25-year span, it's about 4 times. So, what are you going to do if you want to buy a house? You got a good job, you saved up some money, you want to buy a house, and you see what's going on. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Well, if you live where I live, you're going to compete, and you're going to have to pay up, and that's just all there is to it. Because there's nothing for sale, and that's not going to change next year. Okay? Remember, we're at the point now with the 711 average. You just ain't going out and getting. I sold houses to people that they're never going to move. They are just the best house you could have possibly got. Rates are 2%. Prices were down. The rest of the country was going up, and we were down 20%. Nobody talked about that on the news. Now we're going up, and everyone's saying it's going down, and we're all sitting here going, but everything's going up. Well, welcome to the difference of where you live and the economies of where you live. And trust me, there is nothing government can do to make prices go up or prices go down. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's a supply and demand issue and population growth issue. Government has no say in it. It doesn't matter what they do. Doesn't matter unless they're going to give you free money to go and buy a house. Then prices will take off. But they're going to do that. So this is how it is. Now, what do? Let's say you live in Vancouver or Toronto or Vegas or, San Diego or, something like that where prices are going down. This is what you do. I'm going to be 8%. And if I was in the United States and I had to take out a mortgage for 30 years at 8%, well, I mean, that's not super high like the 80s where it was 16%, but that would be difficult. But you know what? I would think, okay, prices are going down. Say they're down, that one sold for $500 and now it's for sale at $400. And you went and looked at it and you go, well, I know it was $500 and now it's $400. You know this. Not some pie in the sky. It was listed at $800 and never sold and now it's listed at $500. Sold. Okay, if you're watching this video, you go off the solds. You don't go off the actives. Only the solds. What did it sell for? Did the neighbor sell for $400? And they're the same house, $400 is the number. So, if you're in the United States and you were doing $500,000 mortgage and you're like, well, I can afford that $2,100, $2,200, but I cannot afford $3,625. So you know what you do? Wait for them housing prices to come down and you take out a $300,000 mortgage. A $300,000 mortgage at 8% is the same monthly payment as a 3% mortgage. And I'm telling you, mortgage rates are not going to go down. They're not. This 5% level in Canada and this, US is 8, a little high, say 7%, 6.5% down there is really average for the last 25 years. So, they're not going to really go down, and they don't want them to go down, to be honest with you. They don't want them to go down. If they want to keep inflation in check, the Fed funds rate has to be 4.5%. That's it. It's got to be 4.5%. If they go below that, you're in a recession without knowing about it. Housing will do great, but everything else will do bad. That's all there is to it. So the 4.5% number is the number. You take a look, the last 50 years, that's the number. Great economies at 4.5, okay? So they'll go down to 4.5 and stay there. They're not going to go any further. Not next year, not the year after, not the year after. Okay? So, go out and get yourself a deal. Where I live, there are no deals unless you got to get that house, because it's going to be more money next year. People are moving here like crazy. Our population growth is running about 9%, which is absolutely ridiculous. We're going to go from 1.6 million to 1.7 million in 1 year. In fact, it's going to be more than that, because all the outside and communities are growing. It's crazy. The amount of people that have moved here in the last 12 months is crazy. Next year, it's the same. Now hiring. So that's the tales, kind of like, if you really want to think about it, Dickinson, the tale of two cities. Well, that's not what it's about, but my city is growing and everyone else isn't. There are places in the United States that are growing too, that are just booming, and people are sitting there going, I don't understand what the problem is, because like, it's just crazy. So welcome to the real estate market. If your rate is up and prices are going down where you are, do the math. And then go and get that. Because 25 years from now, you're going to be so happy you bought that house, you're going to give me a thumbs up on this video, let me tell you. Because in 25 years, it's paid for. And your house is worth more. And that's just the case. If it's negative population growth for year after year after year after year, your house will only go down in value. But that doesn't happen. Or at least it hasn't happened anywhere that I know of except for Detroit. And I feel really bad for Detroit. But they did beat my Bears, because the Bears played prevent, and we don't want to talk about that. So thank you for tuning in to this wonderful real estate video. If you are looking to buy real estate where I live, I'm the guy. And just remember, I'll probably say something to piss you off. But don't worry about it. We'll get you that deal, and we'll sell your house for more instead of less. And we'll find you what you need. But be prepared. It's crazy out there where I live. Next year will be the same. 2025, I'm not too sure yet. But right now, crazy. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the future.